Rugby Championship round 1, team of the week, folks. We're going to pick 15 guys from the 2 games at the weekend. All Blacks, Springboks, and Wallabies, Pumas. Going to go through some key stats, key moments, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts, as always, who you would have if you were picking a team of the week. Plus, we'll do a few honourable mentions as well. I should say I would normally do this the day after having watched the games. Kind of let things settle in a wee bit, maybe rewatch a bit of the footage and stuff, but my daughter is looking a little bit crook, and I reckon she's going to be home from kindy tomorrow, so chances of me getting anything done tomorrow seem pretty slim, so I'm taking advantage of the fact that my wife is here, and we're doing this fresh. Maybe fresh is good, because it'll be kind of on top of my mind, but maybe fresh is also not good. I don't know. It is what it is. Props. I'm starting with a bench prop in old Stephen KITSHOFF. He was the bench loose head for the Boks, and just quietly, the Springboks scrum did alright in that game against the All Blacks, which is, as I said, still very fresh in my mind. He took over from Inyakane slightly before half-time, actually. Like, they talked about it a few times in the Springboks camp, how their strategy is just go out there and empty the tank, and if you're really out of gas, then we're gonna sub you. So KITSHOFF comes on. He plays just over half the game. He's got 2 passes. That's all right. He's got 4 runs, which is decent. He doesn't get that many meters with it. He gets 5. He gets 7 from 8 tackles, which is a pretty bloody good work rate for a prop who only played half the game. He wins a turnover. He gets an intercept, which is bizarre because props don't usually get intercepts, but Rico Ioane decided to chuck the ball, and Stephen KITSHOFF was the first man to pluck it out of the air. Doesn't concede any penalties, and just generally, you had to pick one of the Springbok props to kind of represent the unit that pretty much dominated the All Blacks at scrum time, didn't they? So for mine, it's Stephen KITSHOFF. TUPOU at tight end, TANIELA TUPOU. He's another sub, and he didn't get as many minutes. He only came on for about the final half an hour, so not that much in the way of minutes, but I think a decent amount in the way of impact. In his half an hour or so, he has 5 runs for 16 meters, which is kind of his specialty in terms of being a prop who likes to get around the park. He's got a couple of passes. He beats a defender. He makes 2 from 2 tackles. He only concedes 1 penalty, which is kind of good because he's generally prone to being pretty high on the penalty count. But as I said, only 30 minutes. But I mean, key point I think is also he also bolsters the scrum. If you notice, if you've gone back to watch that Australia against Argentina game, there's a moment where just after the Argentinians have scored their second half try, the Argentinians muck up the restart. There's a big scrum. Who's on the field? It's TUPOU up against the young loosehead Gajo, and he gets monstered. He goes straight to the floor, Gajo. So from there, the Wallabies forwards get right on top. So I think you got to give TUPOU a wee bit of credit there. But also, likewise, with the Aussie forwards really getting on top of them all the time, it's nice to put one of the Aussie forwards there to kind of be a representative for the collective. So, yeah, KITSHOFF and TUPOU, 2 subs. I think it's the first time we've ever done 2 subs in the front row for the team of the week, but there we are. Hooker, there was only 1 man, and that was Malcolm Marx. Malcolm Marx was absolutely immense in the big win over the All Blacks. Now, interestingly, like the stats site that I use for some of the stats, like turnovers one, only credits him with 2, but he got at least 4 or 5. I think maybe sometimes when they force a penalty at the breakdown, they don't necessarily count it as a turnover, but definitely he won at least 4 or 5 turnovers. At the breakdown, he was an absolute menace. 8 runs, 24 meters, definitely a very busy shift, ball in hand as well. He's another guy who absolutely emptied the tank, beats the defender, makes 4 out of 4 tackles, has a pass in there, so generally he carries. Not much deception about this game. It's pretty much stop me if you can. He does have 1 turnover conceded, 1 penalty conceded, and 1 of the lineouts goes awry. But for the most part, man, Malcolm Marx was just back to back when he was at the Lions. Remember that one year where he was just the best hooker in the world? Like, he was kind of back to that form. Like, he's always been good, but extra level up from Malcolm Marx. So, yeah, phenomenal stuff from the big man of the match. In his 50th, not a bad effort. I mean, other front rowers, Whainga'a was another good hooker. Played well for the Wallabies. As I mentioned, the block front row, Alatoa was good for the Wallabies too. Yeah, there's numerous guys you could go with, but these are the ones on the board. Locks. I've gone with an Aussie in DARCY SWAIN. Now, he's one that maybe the stats don't do him that much justice, but I feel like in terms of what the Aussies were doing at maul time, he's kind of a key guy. He does have 5 passes, which is a decent amount for a lock. Getting his hands on the pill. 3 runs, but wasn't really getting much go-forward ball. 0 meters recorded, so literally going nowhere. 3 from 3 tackles is not the huge kind of dominant kind of number that you might get from the likes of a Sam Whitelock, who kind of loves to get through his tackling work. But he's got a turnover 1. He's got his aerial work with 3, lineouts 1. And it's just, as I mentioned, the maul. Like, the Argentinians have got a maul to attack the Wallabies 5 meters out. Who disrupts? DARCY SWAIN stops the thing. Argentina chance snuffed out. The Wallabies are hot on attack. They're mauling against the Pumas line. Crema is one of their biggest bodies on defence, the Argentinians. Who's the man who removes Crema from the maul? DARCY SWAIN, next minute penalty try. So just kind of key involvements, man. Like, that's really one of his specialties, and I thought he did it really well. Combined with his aerial work, I'm pretty happy to put him in there, even if the kind of core stats maybe don't do him that much justice. But there you go, DARCY SWAIN. Other lock, I'm going to go with TOMÁS LAVANINI from the Pumas. The big unit that is TOMÁS LAVANINI didn't get any cards. He only conceded 1 penalty. It looked like he'd gotten a yellow card, but it was the other lock. He was initially walking off the field, I guess just assuming, oh, it must be me again. Or maybe the ref just gave him the wrong number. I don't know, but he didn't get yellow carded. It was Alamano who got yellow carded. He has 6 runs for 2 meters, which ain't, again, nothing to write home about in terms of ball in hand, ball carrying stuff. But 3 passes and an offload. Yeah, solid enough. He usually likes to carry, but he does have the big tackle count, which is 12 from 12, including 1 absolute try saver, as the Wallabies' outside backs, like their right winger and their fullback, are charging down the wing. Who is lumbering after them? But big TOMÁS LAVANINI. So absolute commitment to the jersey. He wins a turnover. He does concede 1 penalty, but honestly, the guy was everywhere. So really putting in a shift for his team. I thought big TOMÁS LAVANINI did pretty well. I think he won a couple of lineup balls. I've not put it in my notes, which is forgetful of me, but yeah, pretty sure he won 3 lineouts. I'll have to go back and check. So yeah, that's your type 5. I mean, Sam Whitelock was kind of a key man in the air. Big Eben wasn't as big as he was in his kind of previous Springboks games, but he was also very busy in the air, so you could have some other locks for sure, but these are the 2 that I have gone with there. Outside backs, I think genuinely the most competitive, not outside backs, loose forwards, goodness me. Generally the most competitive of the positions this week. There were genuinely a lot of guys, especially number 8s. I think every team's number 8 had a good game. And I've kind of snuck one of them in. Pablo MATERA. He started at number 8, shifted to the flank. So I've kind of picked him as a flanker here. But in a losing shift, MATERA has a try. He opens the team scoring with a little inside ball from Carreras. He has a try assist, which is the kind of counter-attacking move from the fullback. Who's there in the support line? MATERA. And who's got the final pass, which goes to his teammate? MATERA. So very key involvements. 6 runs, 52 meters is a phenomenal return for a Lucy. Like, that's good for a winger, man. 2 clean breaks. Again, for a winger, those are good numbers. A beat to defender. He has 12 passes and an offload. 9 from 10 tackles. Like, the guy is just everywhere. He is absolutely ever present. Like, if you want negative stuff, a penalty conceded and 2 turnovers conceded. But honestly, speaking of guys who play for the jersey, MATERA never really goes at kind of anything less than 100%. So, yeah, good to see him put in a good shift for his team. Open side flank, I went with an Aussie in FRASER MCREIGHT. Kind of a late call-up for Michael Hooper, who withdrew from the squad. McCreight is class, man. He's class. He's been playing for Australia A in the Pacific Nations Cup. And that game time under his belt where he excelled, I think certainly showed. He finishes the game with a try. He peels off from the side of a maul to score pretty well. A good bit of decision-making to peel off when he did. 5 runs for 19 meters is a good enough return without being phenomenal. It's not kind of Pablo MATERA numbers. But he's got 6 passes, he's got an offload, and defensively is where he excels, man. 11 from 11 tackles. I think he was Aussie's top tackler from memory. Wins a turnover. I mean, negative stuff, a turnover conceded and a penalty conceded, but honestly, the guy was, yeah, he really stepped up. Kind of late notice, but yeah, he didn't look out of place whatsoever. He was very busy. And I kind of ummed and ahed about this one, but I still chucked in ARDIE SAVEA. Kind of because he's like the best of a team that didn't do that well. Like the All Blacks were kept pretty quiet. I can't remember many, if any, games where the All Blacks attack, maybe recently against Ireland, was as kind of blunt as it was. And certainly not ARDIE SAVEA's best game ever, but he still manages to get over the advantage line. He still puts in those big carries. You know what I mean? He's got 11 runs for 29 metres, so he's trying his best to get forward up against that big Springbok defence. Is certainly doing better than the majority of his teammates. Like, you know, when ARDIE SAVEA has got way more run meters than Will Jordan, something's not going that well for the All Blacks. 11 passes, which is more than Bodie, interestingly. 2 offloads, 10 from 10 tackles, so he's at 100%. He wins a line-out. The stats haven't credited him with any turnovers, but he got at least 1. Again, if it's them not counting turnovers 1 that were kind of forced penalties, like they got over the ball and won a penalty for their team, then maybe that's why it's a 0. But like Malcolm Marx, he was a threat, not to the same degree, but he was a threat at the breakdown. He gives Will Jordan that little inside ball when they almost got away, but Jasper Wiese, speaking of number 8's got that ankle tap. So, yeah, in a pretty kind of well-beaten All Blacks team, ARDIE SAVEA still manages to look pretty good, so give that guy a bit of credit. I mean, other loosies, I've kind of robbed Rob Valtini, who was the man of the match in that game for the Wallabies from number 8. He was doing some big ball carrying. Wiese, like I mentioned, was the Springboks' top tackler. That ankle tap was kind of key moment. Kolisi had some big moments for the box. Like, there were plenty of good loosies. Kremer had a bunch of tackles and some decent carries for the Pumas. Like, you could go for loads of the loosies, man. There were heaps of good performances from the loose forwards this week. But there you go. That's your forward pack for the team of the week thus far. Into the backs, I have gone with another substitute in JADEN HENDRIKSE. Talk about having to kind of step up. This guy's still in single-digit test caps, picked behind Faf de Klerk to play against the All Blacks, which is pretty intimidating, man. If you're a young man, I know you'd be confident. You've always got to back yourself, but sure enough, you're expecting to come on in the final 10 minutes, probably, maybe 20. But Faf generally plays 70-plus minutes, and Hendrikse is on within like 40 seconds because Faf gets knocked out. So I thought he absolutely stepped up to the plate really well. Kind of like some of the other kind of young guys like MCREIGHT, who kind of came in a different circumstance, but, you know, didn't look out of place whatsoever. His kicking game really kept the All Blacks guys on their toes. They struggled under the aerial ball to the All Blacks. He gets really good hang time on his kicks, like a few people have mentioned, so really makes the All Blacks' life difficult. 13 kicks, 56 passes, like kind of good distribution. Like, not every pass was perfect, but the majority were pretty good. 5 from 6 tackles on defense. He only makes the 1 run, but he gets 8 meters from it, so if you're going to run, you might as well make it count. I don't know, man. I thought he did pretty bloody well. So, yeah, pleasing, because there's been a few times in recent years when Springboks have seemingly kind of only had that one guy, like whether it's Faf at 9 or a few years ago, you know, Malcolm Marx was looking like their only kind of quality hooker, and then you've got Bongi, you've got more depth. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, 9 is looking in a better position now than it was a couple of years ago anyway. So, happy days. Number 10, and the Springbok train continues. I've gone with HANDRÉ Pollard. Again, like, not the best game that he's ever played for the Springboks, but boy, did he just look comfortable. Just controlled the game really well. Absolutely just pulled the strings. Just, you know, cruising along. Doing it just in a canter, really, eh? He gets 2 conversions, 3 penalties, and a drop goal for a total of 16 points. The drop goal was just the ultimate, like, this is my game. And you guys are just watching, isn't it? Like, really in control. I mean, sometimes he's had a kind of wayward boot in recent times, but nah, man, he didn't look missing anything in this game. 6 runs for 26 meters is a solid enough return without being fantastic. But 7 passes and an offload, so distributions there. 5 kicks, even though if you know, they're kicking more off 9, that's what they do. It's his kick that goes to Arendse, which goes to which goes back to Arendse for the try. Like, you know, when he kicks, he makes it count. He does have 2 turnovers conceded. He does have 2 missed tackles, including the one on the Shannon Frizzell try, but he was kind of on a hiding to nothing to try and stop that one. You know, as the All Blacks had gone close through Caleb Clark. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to put Pollard there. Maybe that's the one question mark at the moment, like in terms of positions for the Springboks, where you still need somebody else, like to have a bit of depth, because it's still out in Yankees at the squad at the moment. But yeah, who's the next guy behind Pollard? But anyway. Midfield, I've gone with an Aussie in Hunter Paisami at 12. Hunter, remember, he's filling the shoes of Samu Kerevi. Pretty big shoes to fill, probably literally and figuratively, I would imagine. But yeah, man, he continues to perform pretty well when he's picked for the Aussie midfield. He finishes the game with a try assist, which is like the final play of the game. The wee dummy, the pass to Ikito, who ends up going over the line. It's a one-handed wee kind of inside ball, a nice pass. He has 8 runs for 42 metres, which is a good return. He beats a couple of defenders. He has 7 passes and 2 offloads, including that try assist. He's got 5 from 5 tackles. He wins a turnover. Like, he's just a real... He's not that big, but he's really solid, eh? Like, he doesn't have any qualms with putting his body on the line. So you can kind of see that in the way he carries and the way he tackles. Negative mark would be the 3 turnovers conceded, but ultimately, man, Hunter Paisami at 12. As I said, in the stead of Kerevi, who was away with the 7s and now injured. We may need to see a bit more of him doing that kind of stuff going forward. But yeah, I thought he was pretty bloody good. And 12 plus 13. I've already done 12. 13 is Lukanyo. Goodness gracious, man. Like, just when you think you've seen everything from that guy, it's like a one-handed... Was it one-handed? I have to go back and watch it. I haven't been able to bring myself to do it. But I know he's on the deck. And I know Caleb Clark is trying to block off any passing option to Kurtley Aronson. But he's still, I'm sure it's one-handed, he still manages to get the pass away. Like, honest to goodness. He's falling on the ground with a guy deliberately trying to block the pass, and he still finds his man. It's crazy. Guy is crazy. A try assist, that's the pass I'm talking about. Only 2 passes and 1 offload, so that's a pretty good rate of try assists. But yeah, at times old Damien Delaney maybe didn't give him enough ball. But 2 runs, 34 metres, so talking about being effective from what you're doing. He didn't get that much pill, but when he got it, he made it count. He wins 2 turnovers. My goodness gracious me. He wins 1 towards the end of the game, which ends up with Pollard slotting. And, yeah, that's a direct 3 points. And then 4 from 6 tackles, so he's got a couple of misses there. But I know he puts Caleb Clark into touch at least once. So, yeah, man, look on your arm. Other teams kind of look on at that guy with envy, because he's just kind of one of those... Is he a once-in-a-generational guy at the moment? I don't know, man. He just seems to be on another level at times. But there you go. Outside backs, kind of tough for the left wing. Like, there's a few good candidates. I ended up going with MAKAZOLE MAPIMPI. Now, it's one of those ones where the stats don't really do him justice, because I'm picking him largely for the horror show he inflicted on the All Blacks in the air. Like, he made... Will Jordan's a fullback. Like, getting aerial balls is supposed to be his thing, but it was like men against boys at times in that game. He's got 2 runs for 19 metres, which kind of like, in terms of like effectiveness per carry, is very, very good. He's got a clean break from his 2 runs, and he's got a pass. 4 from 6 tackles, again, means there's a couple of misses and a couple of turnovers conceded. But honestly, you can't discount his work in the air. Like, that was a big part in the Springboks loss. Loss? Win. Goodness me, wishful thinking, Mark. It was a big part in the Springboks win. Without him and some of the other guys putting the All Blacks under so much pressure with the aerial ball, like, the All Blacks were flustered by the end of it. You could see it. You know, it would have been a closer game, but nah, man, just absolutely in control. Absolutely in control. So, yeah, really, really good stuff from MAPIMPI. I mean, some of the other guys... I'll mention some of the other guys at the end, but, yeah, MAPIMPI... For that reason, he's my pick. Right wing, I went with the Aussie in Jordi PETAIA. He didn't get that much ball either, but he's another one who kind of made it count. 2 runs, 35 metres, and a try. Like, in terms of your return, that's pretty good. He's got a clean break and his defender beaten from those 2 carries. He's got a couple of passes. He makes his tackles 2 from 2. Like, the Wallabies needed that try. It ends up getting them a bonus point. That had the pressure on. He needs to score it. He scores it. So clutch moment. You need your clutch guy to step up. So that's Jordi PETAIA for mine. It's good to see him fit, and he seemed to be kind of confident. So that's really pleasing. And then fullback, I went with, it's always hard to write in the bottom row because of the angle. Horrible handwriting. DAMIAN WILLEMSE. He looked pretty assured at the back as well, didn't he? Is that the best game we've seen him play at fullback for the Boks? 6 runs, 59 metres, very confident in his ball carrying. Also 6 passes and 3 offloads, very confident with his passing. Like, he just looked like there's times I've watched DAMIAN WILLEMSE enough to know that there's times he looks a bit jittery. Not in this game. Not really, eh? He looked really fully just confident, like he was, I don't know, in control. Yeah, really well. He puts in 5 kicks, including a couple of good touch finders. He beats a couple of defenders. 3 from 4 tackles. He's got the try saver on Caleb Clark. Like, he looked like he'd been skinned, but he doesn't give up. And that's a really kind of key aspect in what you saw from, like, the Boks and, like, the Khaleesi pouncing on loose ball. Jasper Wiese with the try-saving ankle tap. Maybe not try-saving, but at least the line break saving ankle tap. WILLEMSE with this try-saving tackle. I mean, they still end up scoring from it, the All Blacks, but that's just the commitment. He's even one of the guys who shoots up. I think it's on Sam Cane. At the end of the game, he shoots up. All Blacks pass is loose and then bobbled, and then LaRue pounces for the try. Like, you got to give credit to that kind of work rate. The guy's been playing 80 minutes. He's still got gas in the tank to just make them, throw that pass under pressure. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, yeah, pretty good shift from DAMIAN WILLEMSE. Man, he's got 1 turnover conceded, but ultimately pretty good. Other backs for the honourable mentions. Quade Cooper, before he got injured, was having a pretty good game. Beating a few defenders, taking the ball to the line. Ikitau for the Wallabies was certainly looking good at 13 as well. Scored a nice try. Liam Wright at the back for the Wallabies as well was also looking really dangerous. Malia for the Pumas had a really good run to set up their second half try. Boffelli on the left wing, kind of like MAPIMPI, like, didn't get that much ball, but he kicked his goals, which is really important for the Pumas because they don't have, when Sanchez isn't playing, like a really reliable goal kicker. Like, Boffelli's often all over the place. He missed one, which was kind of crucial, but he kicked his goals, which was very, good for keeping the scoreboard ticking over, which is what you need to put the team under scoreboard pressure. Aronson, before his red card, was having a really good game, but I would imagine he'll cop a pretty lengthy ban. But he shouldn't get, like, he'll be, no bad disciplinary record from the past, so he should get a wee bit of a discount. But anyway, Caleb Clark on the left wing for the All Blacks, set up a try. Beat a couple of forwards at the end to set up the Frizzell try. But yeah, I think they were left to leave Bodie to catch his high balls on that left wing, and that didn't really go that well. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the team of the week, folks. It's always a bit of fun. Please, let's keep the emphasis on the fun for the teams of the week. It's certainly not a perfect team. It's just my team. Just my 2 cents. But, yeah. You guys let me know your thoughts. Who would you have if you were picking a team of the week? Would you be able to squeeze any more All Blacks into there? Is one too many? You guys let me know your thoughts. Enjoy the Rugby Championship. If you want any rugby jerseys, Lovell Rugby is always a good place, man. Check out the sales section. They've honestly got some pretty cheap deals on there. Sometimes I've ordered loads of jerseys from them in the past. So, yeah, check them out. But otherwise, take care, guys. I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.